Okay, folks, I just received some fan mail from a random person, and here I got is this Yu-Gi-Oh! Official playbook, this playmat,
And this deck holder from McDonald's, which it has 26 cards inside. I'll show you guys these cards. Yeah, it doesn't come with spell and trap cards, so I'll have to get some. But for right now, I want to give you the basics. Now that I got the monsters for it, how cool would it have been if I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Using only Pokemon cards? Well, here's how it works. First, you need a minimum of 40 cards and a maximum of 60. So you can have around 40 to 60 cards in your deck. And you start off with 5 cards, unlike Pokemon 7. And your fusion deck would be a Stage 2 Pokemon, but mine's Stage 1. I should have used a Beedrill, that is Stage 2. But the game is simple. You put your monsters by summoning it or putting it in defense. And items, supporters, could be spell and trap cards. But these cards are the same as spell cards. Just flip it up and it will show you the item. But special summoning is different. For a Stage 1 Pokemon, you'd have to tribute 1 Pokemon to do it. But for a Pokemon with 100 or more HP, you'd have to tribute 2 Pokemons. But here's a little issue with this. Now, the Pokemons only have HP, but if you play them in Yu-Gi-Oh!, you'll notice that they don't have HP, but instead attack and defenses. So their HP would count as attack and defenses. And for these attacks right there, you can't do 2 attacks, unlike in Pokemon, which you can only do 1, but only if you have higher attack. But for a fusion monster, if you have a Charmander and a Charmeleon, you would have had to put a Charizard in there, replacing both of these. Now that's a fusion monster. And the field cards would mostly be a stadium card. And for energy cards, they don't do nothing, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't use them. Here's another pointless card, Potion. What's the point? Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't use HP, just put it in the graveyard. But here's another one, Professor Oak's Hint. You can draw 7 cards, but you can't keep 7 at the end of your turn. You need to discard 1, which means you can only have up to 6. But here's how the battle goes for monsters. If a Pokemon like Pikachu has 60 HP against Latiace's 100 HP, then Pikachu would have been knocked out of the battle. But if Pikachu and Ponyta both had 60 HP, then both of them would have been knocked down, and both players doesn't take any damage. But if Pikachu was in defense mode, and Arcanine had higher HP, then Pikachu would have been knocked down, but the player doesn't take any damage. But if Pikachu attacked Arcanine when it's in defense mode, it would not be knocked down, but the player takes damage. Now, the problem with this is that the Pokemons have lower HP, and it would take very long for their players' life points to go down to 0. And with that, you would run out of cards, which is totally an issue. I'd say start the game with only 4,000 life points.
Well, that's the tips on playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With Pokemon cards. And yeah, I strongly recommend using Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards because that's how you're supposed to play the game fairly. But I've still got a lot more Pokemon cards to come up with, like the trainer cards, the item cards, and the supporter cards. So, check in for part 2, and I'll discuss more about this with more trainer cards.